Hello, happy new week everyone, Markus here. This week's song goes out to Cam back in Canada. This one is a song I originally learned for you ages ago now, but great tune, still with me, I'm still playing it, you'd be happy to know, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and here is Better Together by Jack Johnson. No combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. A song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. In our dreams, in the middle of real things, like a shoebox of photograph with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least for most of the questions in my heart, like why are we here and where do we go? How come it's so hard? It's not always easy and sometimes life can be deceiving. I tell you one thing, it's always better when we're together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, we look at them stars when we're together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. And all these moments just might find their way to my dreams tonight. But I know that they'll be gone when the morning light sings and brings new things. For tomorrow night you'll see that they'll be gone too. Too many things I have to do, but all of these dreams might find their way to my day-to-day scene. I'll be under the impression I was somewhere in between, with only two, just me and you. There's so many things we got to do, and places we got to be. We sit beneath the mango tree now. Well, it's always better when we're together. Somewhere in between together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. I believe in memories, they look so pretty when I sleep. When I wake up, you look so pretty sleeping next to me. But there is not enough time, there is no song I could sing, and there is no combination of words I could say. But I wish to tell you one thing, we're better together. Hey there everybody, I thought I'd just give you a little update on what was going on with the garden, and give you the story of the slugs and the garden, which was a real challenge this year. But so it started off, things were going well. There was lots of plants, everything was growing well and green and beautiful, and it just looked amazing. It looked like I was going to have a fantastic little harvest. And then the rains came, and the snails and slugs with it. Earlier on, I'd known about the snails and slugs, that they were going to be a problem. I've had issues with them before in the past, even back in Vancouver, or here at just trying to grow little bits and pieces at some of the places I've lived at. So one thing I did do was I put down eggshells, lots and lots of eggshells, dry them out, and then I crush them and put them around my plants, and it keeps the snails and slugs away. And it did to a point, but it couldn't stop them all, and some of them are just either too big or too small, or they just don't care. So I had cucumbers growing really well, and I had strawberries, and they were starting to get up there. They weren't pickable or edible yet, but they were all at a good point, and they ate them all. Every last one of them. I came out one day after it had rained for one day, I believe, and everything was gone. And I was so angry. I was so filled with rage. I wanted to kill them all. So I went, first thing I thought it was beer traps, because I've heard about beer traps. So I went online, started doing some research, and in my research and calming down from the rage, I found out that beer traps aren't great. They're not helpful. First of all, it's the yeast in the beer traps that the slugs and snails are attracted to. So you're going to end up attracting the snails and slugs from the entire neighborhood. They can smell, their sense of smell is 90 to 180 meters. They can smell, so they will come from all over just to indulge in your beer traps, which don't even always work every time. A lot of times they take a little taste, they like it, and they bugger off somewhere else and then go eat your plants. So that's not great. Also, the other thing that happens with the beer traps is that you run the risk of killing some of the beneficial predators of the snails and the slugs, which are the leopard slug, which is a larger slug, and a snail. I think the Roman snail, which is like it's bigger as well, and they eat the other slugs. So you don't want to kill them, and also you could risk killing beetles as well, the ground beetles and hedgehogs if they eat too many of the slugs that are all soaked in alcohol. If there's alcohol in the beer trap, then it could kill the hedgehogs as well. So you don't want to do any of that. The beer traps, if they do work and the snails or slugs fall in and they die, then they also will eat each other, so the smell of their dead will also attract and bring more of them to the area. So best to avoid beer traps is what I learned from all that research. But then also the eggshells weren't great, and grit and seashells and that same type of deal wasn't really doing what I needed it to. There's all kinds of other things. There's copper. You can get copper, which I've heard work quite well. I haven't tried it, but it gives them a electrical current, reacts to their slime, and they really don't like it, so they stay off it. But it has to be long enough that they have to crawl along it for a while for it to actually work. There's the nematodes, which are like some kind of biological plant thing or something. I have no idea. You got to grow them properly in the ground, and because a lot of the slugs and snails they go under the soil, so you can't see them or get to them anyway. And these guys take care of that. But it sounded like a bit much, and they're also quite expensive. So I didn't go with that. But then the other thing is natural predators. So like I was talking about, ground beetles, birds, hedgehogs, the leopard slug and the Roman snail, all those are helpful. So if you can try and attract them to your garden instead, so probably next year what I'll do is add a bird bath and maybe some like feeders and stuff to attract some more birds in that as well. Ideally I wouldn't want to kill them anyways, as much as I was angry with them. They're just trying to survive and eat. So what I started doing was collecting them. And what I do is I collect them, I pop them into a jar, and I poke some holes in the top, and then the next day I'll take them to the Cinnamon Hill Forest or to a park, and I'll dump them all into a park somewhere. Their homing instinct is only good up to about 20 meters. They did some kind of research on this and some tests, and this is what they found by marking them, the snails, and seeing if they would come back past that 20 meters. But I even go further, and I go probably about that 180 meters that their smell can detect. So so I pop them all in the little thing, and if I have them and I don't get rid of them, if I don't get to and pop the holes in top, but not so big that they can get through, because there's some smaller ones. And then if I'm not going to get to them to the park or whatever, I'll feed them a little bit of spinach or something. Give them something to munch on while we're in waiting. And then I take them out and release them, and then that's about it. Showing you some photos. I'll show you some more here at the end of how the garden went and some of my harvesting. Have a great week. See you next week.